Road safety is an issue that affects the entire community. And as the heart and soul of the community, every local AFL Victoria football and netball club has a role to play in creating safer roads and a safer community. That's why AFL Victoria and the Transport Accident Commission have come together to explore the issue of road safety with your club. My name is Rebecca Madden and today I'm at the North Shore Football Club, a club in Geelong. A club community just like yours that may have experienced road trauma in the past or could be impacted by road trauma in the future. The reality is right now road safety is a real issue in every Victorian community. Over the last 10 years, over 2,550 people have lost their lives on Victorian roads and a further 66,000 have been hospitalised. Of all the deaths on Victorian roads, 44% occurred in rural areas. 72% of the people killed were male. About 1/3 of people who were killed were aged under 30 years. Tragically, 7 children aged under 15 years lose their lives on average each year, and over 260 are seriously injured on Victorian roads. We need to ask ourselves, why is this still happening? Why do we accept this? Can we do more? Could we in fact eliminate the lives lost on the road completely? To help me answer these questions, we've brought together some of Australia's leading experts in road safety. Joining me on this journey is Dr. David Logan from the Monash University Accident Research Centre, Samantha Cofield, Head of Road Safety at TAC, and Dr. Hafez Alavi, Transport Lead at HA Consulting. So I guess my first question is to you, David. Are road deaths and serious injuries just part of modern life, or can we genuinely prevent road deaths and injury?
It is possible to significantly reduce both deaths and serious injuries. However, over the last 50 years, we've tackled all the easy gains, and it's going to take extra commitment by governments and us, the community, to make the next big steps.
Sam, I'm interested, have we got a road safety goal or target in Victoria?
We have a really ambitious target, Rebecca. We have a first goal of, by 2030, reducing fatalities by 50%. And our really large or audacious goal is to completely eliminate death and serious injury from Victoria's roads by 2050. Now, this is a goal not only of Victoria, but really an international goal. The United Nations last year actually agreed that that should be the target for all countries and all jurisdictions.
Sam, that is a huge goal. How achievable is it?
Yeah, look, we think it's very achievable. Here in Victoria, we're doing okay. If you think of countries we normally compare ourselves with, like Canada, the US, maybe New Zealand, we're doing pretty well. On the league ladder of where we are in terms of road deaths, it doesn't mean much except when you start to think what it really means on Victoria's roads. And if we had, as an example, the same number of lives lost as Norway, who are at 2 deaths per 100,000 population, if we had that same rate, we would have actually had 80 less people die on our roads last year. 80 families that would still have their loved ones, 80 people who can still go about their daily lives.
You see Norway at the top of that list there, so let's take a closer look at Norway and the success of their road safety measures.
Norway is a Scandinavian country with a similar sized population to Victoria. In 1998, it recorded more than 350 deaths on its roads. As a response, over 10 years ago, Norway introduced a new approach to road safety called Vision Zero. This involved implementing a systematic approach to improving the safety of people, vehicles, roads and speeds. This approach has been extremely effective, and Norway has almost halved the number of deaths on their roads in the last 10 years. The biggest impact of this success has been the road safety outcomes for children and young people. There has been a 74% reduction in road deaths among 18 to 24-year-olds, and no child under the age of 16 was killed on the roads in Norway in 2019. This result is attributed to improvements in street design, better infrastructure for cyclists and pedestrians, and lowering the speed limit outside schools to 30 kilometres an hour in many locations. Through the implementation of the SAFE system approach, safer people, safer roads, safer vehicles and safer speeds, Norway has transformed its road network to the safest on Earth. Thanks to this commitment to saving lives on the roads, the country is on the way to eliminating road deaths entirely through its Vision Zero approach.
So we've just seen the example from Norway. How can Victoria get there? Hafez, from your perspective, what needs to happen?
Cool. So to eliminate road deaths and serious trauma on Victorian roads, we need to understand the answer to a few key questions. We need to understand why crashes occur, why serious road trauma in terms of fatalities and serious injuries occur, and how we can prevent them. This is important because that will tell us, as a whole system, what key responsibilities and activities and actions we should take.
All right, well, let's start with question one there. Why do crashes occur, Sam?
Look, there's two key reasons and they involve humans. The first is people taking risky behaviours, particularly high-risk behaviours, and the things that we know, like drinking and driving, taking drugs and driving, speeding, very high speeds. But the one we don't really understand so much about as an everyday part of the person in the community is mistakes. And a large proportion of the crashes we see on the roads and that end up in deaths and serious injuries actually relate to people making simple errors, simple mistakes in their daily lives.
So let's take a look at what people think causes crashes with the help of North Shore Football Club. I'm here with Isaac and Jacob for round one of the Safety Playbook quiz. Let's get into question one. What do you think causes the most casualty crashes?
I'll go with A.
B.
I'm going to say make mistakes, silly mistakes.
I reckon it's B.
Okay, B.
Probably A.
Okay, A.
Yeah, I'm going to go A as well.
All right, well done. We're off to a good start. People making mistakes and taking risks is the correct answer. Sam, I'd like to ask you, how many crashes occur as a result of this risky behaviour, and what about mistakes?
If we're looking just solely at fatality crashes, so crashes where people die, we see that around 40% or just over 40% relate to risky behaviours and about 30% relate to errors and mistakes. But if we look broader and look at serious injuries, and these are often injuries where people's lives change, that we never recover, and living with permanent disability, we see that well over 70% of those types of crashes relate to mistakes that people are making on the road.
So what is the impact of risky behaviour like drink and drug driving, speeding or driving while tired or distracted, David?
Yeah, these are some of the biggest problems we still have to face, Rebecca. We've made some big progress with drink driving over the last 30 years with random breath testing, so that's much less of a problem than it used to be. However, drug driving, speeding is still a problem, as well as driving while using a mobile phone and driving fatigued are all really big problems that we still need to face and we still need to find solutions for.
Yeah, David, some important points there. And given the fact that we can't change that people are physically vulnerable and will sometimes make mistakes and sometimes will obviously take risks, we are human beings, what approach can we use in preventing deaths and serious injuries?
It's called the safe system philosophy, Rebecca. We have a responsibility to behave safely and in accordance with the laws when we're on the roads. But it's also down to the operators of the road system. They have their own responsibility to provide safe infrastructure and to permit safe speeds, so that when we do make the inevitable mistake, none of us should be killed or hospitalised. And to help with this, we divide the road system into 4 pillars. We call these safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, and safer roads. And we need to address each of these areas to prevent deaths and serious injuries. And in many ways, it's like having 4 lines of defence in a football game.
All right, I like that. So in footy terms, let's talk about footy terms. Safe people are the first line of defence. Sam, so what can we do to encourage people to use the roads more safely?
Yeah, look, the main thing we do in road safety is to set laws and rules to address those risky behaviours, and then we get police to enforce those rules. And we also have penalties, so we have demerit points and monetary penalties, which we know work incredibly well to deter people from undertaking risky behaviours. But the main thing we do is we try and educate people. We let them know what is risky behaviour on the road and what we need them to do to keep themselves and other people safe. And then, I suppose, we try and deter them from doing this through the enforcement and the setting of penalties.
So what are some of the laws and penalties for risky behaviours? We decided to see what the North Shore Footy Club members know about laws and penalties. What penalties apply if a fully licensed driver is caught driving with a BAC of 0.06, so just a little bit over the legal limit?
Is it D now? It's D now, is it? I don't know.
It's not going to help you, is it, competitor?
D. I'm going to go with D.
Okay.
Just over. I just thought it might have been A.
Say C.
C?
I'll go A.
A.
I'll go all the above, D.
D?
I'll go A, just the licence.
Okay, no, it is D, all of the above. What is the penalty for using your mobile phone while driving?
C? Yeah, I'll go with C as well.
D.
I'm going with C.
D.
D? Cherie?
C.
C. Correct answer is D, 4 demerit points and a $545 fine. What is the penalty if you are caught driving 10 to 14 kilometres per hour over the speed limit?
D.
D for you?
Yeah, D.
I'll say D,
D.
as well.
C.
C?
That would be C.
C?
I would have said C.
Guys, it's D.
D again.
$260 fine and 1 demerit point. So what are the practical strategies to avoid these risky driving behaviours?
Yeah, probably the first risky behaviour we all think about is drinking and driving. And the best approach there, and what we encourage everybody to do, is complete separation. If you're drinking, don't drive. If you're driving, don't drink. Very simple, you can't go wrong with that one. Speeding, we know it's very tempting, even just to go a few kilometres over the limit. And so we really suggest making sure that you set your speedo on the appropriate speed limit and use it as your guide. And also, if you've got cruise control or intelligent cruise control, make sure you set that as well. It'll make sure that you actually stick well within the speed limit, don't get a fine, and keep everybody safe. Probably one of the big ones we have, particularly for young people, is distraction through the use of the mobile phone. If you know that you've got poor impulse control, let's say, key thing is to either put it out of sight or just put it in the boot or in the back of the car where you can't get to it. There is absolutely no phone call, text message that is worth your life or somebody else's. And I think probably the other key issue that we see more and more these days, unfortunately, is drugs and driving. And of course, the same message, complete separation. But again, if you do have dependency or lack of control, seek help, because really it's incredibly important that we keep these separated, and probably the only way to do that is get dependency under control.
Thank you, Sam. Well, it's time for you to take a moment to reflect. Pause the video and take a moment to have a discussion in small groups or as a club about some of the key strategies to avoid risky driving behaviours. What strategies or tactics can you use to avoid these risky behaviours? Okay, so let's chat about safe vehicles, the next line in defence and the role they play in preventing deaths and serious injuries. Well, let's enlist the help of North Shore Football Club once again and Dr David Young, TAC Manager of Vehicle Safety, to help us figure out how to find a 5-star car. All right, audience Cindy, we have an important job for you today, and that is to order these cars from 1-star safe to 5-star safe. All right, Oddie, what do you think has the highest safety rating?
I would say it'd be the RAV4.
Okay, and Cindy, what do you think has the lowest safety rating?
I would think the silver Mitsubishi.
Okay, the silver Mitsubishi, you've got a lot to think about. Let's rate these cars. Cindy and Oddie, job well done. David, how did they go?
So on the first car, the Holden, they've got the same as the actual rating of the car, so it's 2 stars.
Oh, well done, guys. All right, move along to the next.
You guys have disagreed on this one, so we've got a 1-star and a 3-star, and the correct answer is the 3-star. So this car has a couple of key features: electronic stability control, curtain airbags, but not quite as many as some of the others. Okay. So you've agreed again on the Subaru, and you both got it right.
Yay!
Well done. So the Subaru's got some great safety features compared to the Mitsubishi. One of the big safety features that this car has is a reversing camera, which is really important. The Toyota, so we've got a 1-star and a 3-star here, and the correct answer is 1-star. So unfortunately this car doesn't have many of the key safety features that we're looking for when we're talking about safety. Lucky last, we've got the RAV4, and you've both said it's got 5 stars, and you're both right. Yay! This one's the safest of the lot. So it's got all the safety features that we're looking for. Lane keep assist, AEB, the lot.
All right, Cindy,
Beautiful.
any surprises there?
No, just that I lost.
Oddie, I think you may have won.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oddie and Cindy did a pretty good job. Greg and Ellie, it is now your turn to step up to the challenge. Greg, do you have any initial thoughts?
Mainly, I would have thought on age, being built in a time when regulations weren't quite as stringent as they are today.
Makes sense. Ellie, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking the makes of the cars, so the branding, heights at what people are sitting, at points of impact, things like that.
Okay, it is time to guess the safety rating of these cars. David, how did they go?
Well, so we've got a 1-star and a 2-star here. Who's gone the 2-star?
That was me.
So why did you choose that?
So I was tossing up between the Commodore and the Mitsubishi, both being 2 older styles here. Just the way it's designed, the longer front, the longer back, just at impact points that might be a little bit safer to be in, and Commodore was my first car as well.
Well, you're right.
Hey.
The trusty.
Okay, David, Greg has gone 5 stars and Ellie has gone 3.
So Greg, you're correct. It's a 5-star car. This car has all the safety features that we're looking for.
Is that purely the technology involved in the vehicle with airbags?
It's a combination of everything, really. So it's got the structure that prevents people being injured during a crash. It's got the airbags, which you were talking about before, and it's also got all the active features that help you avoid the crash in the first place.
So interestingly, Greg and Ellie, you've both got 2 out of 5 correct.
There you go. Different choices.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Greg?
I just think I was a little bit disappointed, but I guess with the newer technology and all the features of the RAV4, it goes without saying that it should be a safer car.
Yeah, you got the main one right.
I got that right.
Yeah, you did indeed. All right, we'll let you get back to training. Thank you. Okay, so what specific features should people look for in a new car, David?
Apart from buying a 5-star car, 2 of the most important features to look for are lane keep assist and automatic emergency braking. Lane keep assist is a technology that prevents you from drifting out of your lane. So if you're driving along a country highway and you lose concentration, or maybe you're a little bit tired and you start to drift to one side of the lane or the other, the car will help keep you in the lane, and that's called active lane guidance. But basically, if you look for the feature of lane keep assist, you'll be doing okay. The other really important one is automatic emergency braking. And what this does is if it detects you're going to run into the back of another car or a pedestrian or a cyclist, If you don't brake in time, the vehicle will detect that and it will brake for you. And this is a technology that's proven to save many lives, and it saves pedestrian and cyclist lives, which is really important.
All right, what about some other features like electronic stability control?
Thanks, Beck. Electronic stability control is really one of the key features that we want to look out for in a modern car. What it does is if you start to lose control of the car, and nothing should happen until you start to lose control, but if you do start to lose control, the car will intervene and help you to get back on track again. One thing to be aware of is that it's been compulsory since 2011 or 2012, around there. So if you're buying a used car, you make sure that it's been included as an option in that car. The other really important feature to look out for are side curtain airbags. These only deploy when you're in a side impact crash or a rollover crash, but they're absolutely critical in protecting the head in particular. Head injuries are a real problem in side impacts, and a side curtain airbag reduces the incidence of those enormously, and it can protect you from being killed or ending up with a severe brain injury if you happen to get unlucky and someone hits you from the side at an intersection.
We have come a long, long way, haven't we, Sam? How can people check the safety of their own car and any car they may be considering purchasing?
Yeah, we've got a website called howsafeisyourcar.com.au. It's a great searchable site where you can check the safety of your own car, so you can check both new cars and older vehicles through the used car safety ratings. Both have a star rating out of 5, and the more stars the better, and we'd love everybody to be in a 5-star car, but 3 or 4 star, we're doing okay. Not only can you check the specific safety of the vehicle that you've either got or looking to buy, you can actually check for those specific safety features that David was speaking about. So if you're looking for auto emergency braking, AEB, you can search for that specifically, and the same with lane keep assist. So it's a really detailed site. You can pretty much find information on any vehicle that you're interested in.
It's certainly well worth doing. So let's move on to our third line of defence, safe speeds. Hafez, what role does the speed a vehicle is travelling play in preventing deaths and injuries?
So, Beck, I would say speed is the most important safety factor in all crashes. It does impact the crash occurrence risk and also risk of severity. But let me dissect the problem for you. So you have certain crash types that are more prevalent in the system. So you have head-on crashes, you have side impact, you have pedestrians, you have cyclists, and you have cars running off the road into a pole or a tree. For each of these scenarios, we have a certain speed limit above which we have a higher risk of serious injuries and fatalities. For example, for a head-on, if you go above 70 km per hour, you're more likely to have fatality or serious injuries. As a pedestrian or a cyclist, that's 30k, and if you're running off the road sideways in a tree, it's around 20 to 30k, and that's your limit to have serious road trauma.
Let's check in with North Shore now on the impact speed has on people using local streets. What is the chance of an elderly or child pedestrian surviving a crash if they are hit at 60 kilometres per hour? So I need the answer in a percentage.
Chance of survival, low, like 30.
30%?
40.
10%.
10% chance?
Okay, 15.
25.
25%?
10%.
10%? 10% is correct. 10% chance of surviving. What is the chance of an elderly or child pedestrian surviving a crash if they are hit at 30 kilometres per hour?
75.
50. I'd say nearly 100%.
Nearly 100%?
70%.
80%.
80%?
85.
85%. It is actually 95%. And how does speed impact people using our local streets?
So, Beck, in our local streets, we live a life. We go to shops and we walk around, we cycle around, we scoot around, we use e-bikes, and all these different micro-mobility measures. And for all of this, human body is exposed to crashes and cars, and 30 km per hour is the limit that keeps our children, our elderly, alive and happy and healthy.
All right, well, on that point, let's hear from a town which has implemented a lot of changes to help keep their local community safer. So Tom, what was the issue that you needed to address?
The Mornington Peninsula Shire has a long history of unacceptable levels of road trauma. So in the last decade alone, 75 people have been killed and over 1,500 people seriously injured on our roads. In addition to that, Mornington Peninsula Shire actually had the second highest numbers of deaths of any municipality in the state in both 2019 and 2020. Basically, council and the road safety practitioners at Mornington Peninsula Shire got together and made the decision that this couldn't continue and that we had to do something really significant about it.
So Tom, you identified a problem and an issue. What did you do to address it?
What the community saw was a blanket change from 100 km/h speed limits on 33 of our high-risk, high-speed rural roads down to 80 km an hour.
And what have been the changes in residential areas?
Yeah, so to help create really inviting and safe areas for our community to spend their time in, we've implemented infrastructure like the Wombat crossing that you can see behind me. We have low-speed roundabouts, we have footpaths, and we have 40 km/h zones. So all those things together help to really slow roads down and create an environment for other road users like pedestrians.
How effective have these changes been and what's been the impact?
So we're currently in the middle of the 2-year trial. However, in 2019, 6 people were killed on these roads alone, and since the trial has been implemented, nobody has been killed on these roads. So while we don't have enough data yet to connect directly the speed limit changes with those results, it's really, really promising, and it's exactly what we were hoping to see from the trial.
So let's talk about the final line of defence, which is safer roads. David, what makes a road a safe road?
Safer roads are, in urban areas, we're trying to protect vulnerable road users, and in urban areas we're really looking at the safe system in action, because we have to allow mixing of pedestrians and cyclists and cars, and these road users are not compatible with one another. So in the cities and also country towns, we need to make sure we either separate pedestrians and cyclists from the cars with separated bike lanes or footpaths, or what we'd really like to do in cities is to allow all the road users to mix together, and that means having speeds that are compatible with every road user, and of course that means the pedestrians and cyclists, as we spoke about earlier. And that's why you're seeing many more 30 km/h speed limits in areas where we want to encourage walking and cycling.
What about on country roads and highways though?
Yeah, look, slightly different issue on country roads. What we see generally, and about 40% of our fatalities actually happen on high-speed country roads. What we see is people coming out of their lane. We call them run-off road crashes, and that can be either to the left and usually straight in to a ditch or to a tree, or to the right and where we might have a head-on crash, or again might come off into something like a tree on the other side of the road. The most effective thing we know, and we've got a really good example, that's something we did a few years ago now on the Yea to Molesworth Golden Valley Highway, where we've put 2 types of barrier treatments. One is what we call a flexible barrier, where we see the wires, and what they actually do is if people start to drift off the road, particularly into the other side, across maybe to a head-on, it actually, when we hit it, it gently pushes us back into the road. It basically catches us like a net and pushes us back into the road.
We obviously all travel through many intersections every day, but intersections are where a significant amount of crashes occur. So how do we prevent these crashes? Let's see what the people at North Shore think. What is the most effective way of making intersections safer?
Roundabouts.
Roundabout for you?
Traffic lights.
Probably B, a roundabout.
Yeah, I'll go B as well.
Roundabout? Are you just copying?
No. Playing the odds.
I'm going to go with roundabouts.
Roundabout, B?
Yeah.
I'd say lights.
You say lights. Correct answer, install a roundabout.
Oh, you're killing it.
I'm good.
Sam, so I'll go to you on this one. How do we improve intersection safety?
Yeah, Rebecca, most crashes at intersections are side impact crashes, so the classic T-bone type crash. And one of the, I suppose, most effective design measures we have is the simple roundabout. And why is that? The real issue in a T-bone crash is that we hit on the side, which is the point where we've got the least protection, and we usually hit at speed. And what roundabouts do is slow us right down, so the energy in the crash or the speed of the crash is much lower, but also the angle of the crash is different. So rather than that T, which is really at our most vulnerable point, we tend to slide into each other and in the same direction. So far less impact in the crash, and they're incredibly effective. You know, we're in an uncontrolled intersection where we've had no treatment before to where we've actually now got an intersection. We're sort of looking at something between 80 and 90% reduction in serious injuries and fatality. So huge benefit if we can get those installed.
Hafez, this one is for you. What about looking after people walking or cycling?
So when we're thinking about these people, we want to create environments that are safe for them, and initially that's by putting 30 kilometers per hour on the roads. And when you have that or lower speeds, you can make or allow people, pedestrians and cyclists mingle with cars. But if you go above that speed limit, then you need to ideally separate pedestrians and cyclists from traffic, or make sure that all the tools are in place to keep these people safe on the road.
So we now all understand, by implementing 4 lines of defence that make up a safe system: safer people, safe vehicles, safer speeds and safer roads, we can actually eliminate deaths and serious injuries. To wrap up, what do each of you think a sporting club can do to help make their community and club safer? I'm going to go down the line. David, I'll start with you.
Thanks, Beck. When you or your friends or relatives are out to buy a car, whether it be a new car or a used car, I think you really ought to take advantage of the free resources, the websites, whether it be ANCAP or the howsafeisyourcar.com.au. There are some really good resources there to help you select the right car with the right star rating, 4 or 5 stars, and the right safety features to help protect you and your family. And when you buy a car, it doesn't necessarily need to be more expensive to buy a safer car. So it's something that you really should keep in mind, and you can help protect your friends and family in the future.
Sam?
Yeah. Look, as players, as officials, as parents of clubs, we can all play a role. We're role models in our community, and what we do matters. And so demonstrating the safest behaviours, whether as a driver or as a pedestrian or as a cyclist, is a really good starting point. Lots of young people around a club, make sure that they're getting the driving experience that they need, the practice that they need before they get a licence. But probably the most important thing we do is our planning around the club. So things like when we're planning an event, make sure that there's a safe way for everybody to get home, particularly if alcohol's being served. Make sure we're not asking people to drive when they probably haven't had enough sleep. And just remind people, put your mobile phone away. Completely separate your drinking and driving. We've all got a role to play, and the club is the perfect place to start.
Indeed. Hafez?
Beck, so first of all, it's a privilege for me here to be connecting to you all and just share what I know. Also, it's very important for me to mention a couple of things. Speed is the most important factor in road safety. So if you drive or you teach your people to drive, remember that driving under the speed limit or even lower would be a safe thing to do. Also, as a community, we really want to promote sustainable mobility, walking and cycling. So please walk more, cycle more, and also remember these people are more vulnerable, especially when they're children or elderly or people of different capabilities. So let's be nice and gentle towards these people as well.
Good advice, Hafez, Sam and David. Thank you. So we have heard from the experts. Now let's hear from the team at North Shore and what they think they can do to improve road safety in their community. So Cherie, what do you think football clubs can do to prevent crashes occurring?
Have designated drivers.
I think it's just about setting an example. If there's a function on, don't drive, get a lift. If you're going to stay around and have a beer after the game, get a lift with a mate, ask someone to drop you off. Just remove that accountability from yourself straight away.
Probably start educating from a young time, like you're under 16s, you're at the club, you're starting to get your licence and stuff. So probably that education early.
Restricting the speed of how fast they're driving around the car parks and stuff like that.
Lead by example, you know, after functions have a bus, what have you, so that people don't risk.
Okay, the time has come for me to announce today's winner, and it is Team Yellow. As we finish, let's all think about what we can do to look after our teammates and our communities. Why not conduct an activity right now? Get into groups, discuss what you think your club can do, and take it in turns to present your idea to the wider team. Thank you so much for watching. Let's stay safe on the roads together.